Hello and welcome. Let's begin the news with Biden. Trump emphasized unity post-rally shooting turmoil. China's Communist Party to set course for troubled economy. 22 killed in Gaza mosque strike, hospital reports. Biden calls for calm after Trump shooting. And police search for mayor accused of espionage for China. On U.S. 2024 election, after Trump narrowly survived an attempted assassination, United States President Joe Biden and his Republican challenger Donald Trump have called on Americans to put aside political divisions and come together. On Sunday night, in a 6.5-minute address from the Oval Office, Biden said political violence could not be normalized and that all Americans have a responsibility to cool it down when it comes to heated political rhetoric. Acknowledging the piercing differences between Democrats and Republicans, Biden said he will continue to articulate his vision for the country ahead of November's presidential election, but that political disagreements must always be settled at the ballot box. Biden's primetime address came as the United States absorbed the ramifications of the first attempted assassination to wound a current or a former president since the shooting of Ronald Reagan in 1981. Trump was left with a bloodied face after a gunman on Saturday opened fire at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, striking the former president in the air. Corey Comparator, a 50-year-old former fire chief, was killed and many others were wounded in the attack. Investigators are still looking into the motives of the suspected shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, who was shot dead by authorities shortly after he opened fire on the rally. The FBI has said it believes that Crooks, who was registered as a Republican but also donated money to a Democratic Allied Political Action Committee, acted alone, and that it has yet to identify any association with a particular ideology. The attempted assassination has restructured an acrimonious race that has seen each candidate portray the other as an existential threat, dramatically shifting focus away from the weeks of commentary about Biden's age and fitness following a disastrous debate performance last month. Biden, who has cast Trump as a grave danger to U.S. democracy, temporarily halted the television advertisements and political messaging in the wake of the attack. Earlier on Sunday, Biden said, according to a report at the White House, that he had a short but good conversation with Trump in a phone call after the attack. Trump, who has accused Biden of threatening democracy and weaponizing the justice system against him on Sunday, arrived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, ahead of the opening of the Republican National Convention, where he will be formally named the party's nominee later this week. In an interview on Sunday, Trump said that he will deliver a whole different speech at the convention than the humdinger he had originally planned. In China, after months of unexplained delay, top officials from China's ruling Communist Party are meeting in Beijing this week to signal the direction forward for the world's second-largest economy as it faces major economic challenges and friction with the West. Stakes are high for the meeting, which takes place every 5 years and is known as China's third plenum. It has historically been a platform for the party's leadership to announce major economic reforms and policy directives. China is battling a property sector crunch, high local government debt, and weak consumer demand, as well as flagging investor confidence and increasing trade and technology tensions with the United States and Europe. Those challenges were underscored by its newest economic growth data, which were announced on Monday. China's gross domestic product expanded by 4.7% in the April to June months compared to the preceding year. That represents a slowdown from the 5.3% growth reported for the first quarter and also missed the expectations of a group of economists polled according to reports who have predicted 5.1% expansion in the second quarter. Economic problems on the back of years of stringent pandemic controls have triggered mounting social frustration, as well as questions about the direction of the country under Xi Jinping, its most powerful leader in decades. Those questions have been underscored by a recent shake-up in the upper echelons of Xi's government that saw 3 ministers and a handful of top military officers removed from posts or investigated, a situation that some observers of China's opaque political system believe contributed to the plenum's delay. How Xi and his top officials choose to tackle the country's economic challenges will have major effect on whether they can continue to raise quality of life and public confidence within China. They could also have a broad impact on the country's role in the global economy and how willing foreign investors will be to do business there as uncertainties, including the outcome of the upcoming US presidential election, loom. On Israel-Gaza war, according to an official at the hospital treating the casualties, no less than 22 people were killed in a strike Saturday that hit a makeshift mosque in a displacement camp in West Gaza City. The head of the emergency room of Al-Ali Hospital, Dr. Amjad Aliwa, said according to reports that 20 men were killed in the strike on the field mosque in Al-Shanti camp, and 2 more men died on Sunday in the hospital from the injuries. Mahmoud Basal, the spokesperson for Gaza Civil Defense, said the bombing happened in the middle of the noon prayer. He added that all the injuries are serious cases and required amputation operations. The United Nations Human Rights Office also commented on the incident in its daily briefing on Saturday, saying around 13 hours, the IDF reportedly struck a makeshift mosque inside Al-Shati refugee camp, West Gaza City. Reports indicated that because the IDF struck shortly after the noon prayer, many people were still inside or near the mosque. The IDF has not made any comments on the incident so far. There was no report of a prior warning for either of the attacks, United Nations or HCHR said, also referring to an Israeli strike on a displacement camp in southern Gaza, which Israel said targeted Hamas's military chief, who was an alleged mastermind of the October 7th attacks. Back to U.S. 2024 election, Joe Biden, U.S. president, has condemned the assassination attempt on his predecessor, Donald Trump, in a primetime address from the White House, telling Americans that U.S. politics must never be a killing field. Trump, the presumptive Republican nominee for president, was injured in the air after a gunman opened fire at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. 1 person was killed and 2 more were critically wounded in the attack. In the Oval Office address, just the third of his presidency, Biden urged Americans to take a step back and warned that political rhetoric in this country has gotten very heated. His short but forceful address broadly went off without a hitch amid ongoing scrutiny following a number of high-profile verbal slips. In his address, the president called on Americans to come together and cautioned that growing political polarization meant November's election will be a time of testing. Biden and Trump remain locked neck and neck in opinion polls ahead of the election. Speaking from behind a desk desk, Biden listed off a growing number of violent political acts that have taken place in recent years. He said, and I quote, "We must not go down this road again. We've traveled it before in our history," he said, citing shootings targeting congressional members in both parties, the assault on ex-House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, and the 6th January riots. Saturday's attack left America reeling as Trump was hit in the ear shortly after he speaking in Butler, Pennsylvania. The gunman, identified by the FBI as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, was shot dead at the scene by Secret Service agents. Law enforcement agents, they found explosive materials in his vehicle nearby and at his home, they said. Officials say they are still probing what motivated the attack. Crooks was a registered Republican who had formerly donated $15 to a liberal campaign group in 2021, according to reports. Moving forward, officials said a small-town mayor in the Philippines who has been accused of being a Chinese spy has gone into hiding. Police could not carry out a warrant for the arrest of Alice Guo over the weekend as she was not at any of her known addresses. Scam centers were discovered in Guo's town of Bambam in March, concealed in an online casinos that cater to mainland Chinese. Her story has played out like a TV drama as she had also been questioned on her Chinese parentage and suspicions that she was working as an asset or spy for Beijing. Guo's case has gripped the nation as Manila and Beijing continue to spar over reefs and outcrops in the South China Sea. The Senate ordered the detention of Guo and some members of her family last Friday after she twice snubbed summons to appear in hearings on the scam centers. Show yourselves, hiding will not erase the truth, Senator Risa Hontiveros, who is leading Parliament's investigation on Guo, said in a statement. Guo has denied wrongdoing. She claims her Chinese father and Filipino mother raised her on their pig farm, but Senator Sherwin Gachalian, who is part of the investigation, claims Guo is a Chinese national whose real name is Guo Huaping based on immigration records. On the day the arrest warrant was signed, Guo posted a statement on Facebook addressing her constituents and alluding to the fact that she will not be around. In the post, she added that she did not regret joining politics, even if it hurt her so much that she almost lost herself. Nicole Jamila, her lawyer, said her clients would definitely cooperate with official investigations. Aside from the investigation by the Senate, Guo is the subject of a separate anti-graft probe that has led to her suspension. On more stories, police says 4 killed, 9 injured in Birmingham nightclub shooting. Late on Saturday night, police said no less than 4 people were killed and 9 others were injured in a shooting at Birmingham, Alabama nightclub. Detectives believe at least 1 person fired shots from the street into the nightclub on 27th Street North, where responding officers found multiple gunshot victims around 11 p.m. local time. Birmingham officer Truman Fitzgerald said in a statement. 2 women inside the nightclub and a man who was found on a sidewalk close to the venue were pronounced dead at the scene. Police said another man died at a hospital, according to Fitzgerald. Several gunshot victims later arrived at the hospital, and there were at least 9 people still receiving treatment early on Sunday, police said. Police did not identify any suspects in the shooting and no arrests have been announced as of Sunday morning. It remains unclear what triggered the gunfire. Detectives are working to determine what led to shots being fired and the victims being shot, Fitzgerald said. Our federal partners have deployed to the scene and are assisting Birmingham police officers in this investigation. So far in 2024, according to data from the Gun Violence Archive, there have been at least 293 mass shootings in the United States. The archive defines a mass shooting as one in which 4 or more people are shot, not including the shooter. In African scenes, Kenya police pledge clear probe into dismembered bodies. Police in Kenya have vowed a transparent probe into the finding of 8 mutilated female bodies that were discovered dumped in an abandoned quarry in Mukuru, a collection of slums south of the capital, Nairobi. Acting Police Chief Douglas Kanja said in an address on Sunday that the entire National Police Service and I understand the deep concern and distress the tragedy brings to the families, residents of Quarry and fellow Kenyans. We are committed to conducting transparent, thorough and swift investigations, Kanja said, adding that transparency will extend to a post-mortem operation and the media will be involved at all stages. The announcement came after Kenya's Acting Inspector General of Police said officers at the police station in Quarry were transferred. Investigations on the bodies, which were found dumped inside plastic bags in a case that has destroyed the nation, are anticipated to finish within 3 weeks, according to the acting chief police. Police authorities say they were pursuing possible relations to cults, serial killers, or rogue medical practitioners as part of their probe. President William Ruto is under mounting pressure to contain the nationwide chaos that has taken hold over widespread anti-government protests. Japhet Koome, Inspector General of Police, resigned on Friday amid the ongoing protests, which have left dozens of demonstrators killed. The announcement came a day after Ruto fired closely his whole cabinet in an attempt to respond to the demands of the protesters. Kenya's police watchdog, the Independent Police Oversight Authority (IPOA), on Friday said it was probing whether there was any police involvement in the case of mutilated bodies, noting that the dump site was just 100 meters, 328 feet from the police post. According to reports, in the absence of a police search on Sunday, volunteers were combing through the vast piles of rubbish in search of more victims. Locals reportedly tried to take a bag they had hauled out of the quarry to police station, but were met with canisters of tear gas. On election matters, Algerian opposition leader exits presidential race. Louisa Hanoun of the Algerian Workers' Party cited unfair conditions for quitting the presidential race. The announcement comes 2 days after President Abdulmajid Tebboune said he will seek re-election. In a Facebook post on Saturday, Hanun said the legal framework had been twisted to stop opponents of Tebboune from running. A veteran of the Algerian opposition, Hanun ran for president in 2004, 2009 and 2014. During mass protests against Abdelaziz Bouteflika in 2019, Hanun was arrested on accusations of treason. She was charged with plotting against the state and the army before being released in February 2020. In January 2021, Hanun was acquitted of the charges. In power since 2019, Tebboune is the favorite in the September 7th election. The 78-year-old won the last election marked by a low turnout with 58% of the vote. Tebboune served as prime minister under Bouteflika. He oversaw the crackdown on the Hirak movement, which organized anti-government rallies. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, I'll bring you stories from Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. Now, stories from Nigeria. We begin with panic as 437 local government areas risk zero allocation after Supreme Court ruling. In no fewer than 437 local government areas spread across 19 states of the Federation, a panic button about the funds for the running of local governments seemed to have been pressed following the imminent suspension of their federal allocations as a result of last Thursday's ruling of the Supreme Court. The Apex Court had in its ruling, pursuant to the suit brought before it by Lateef Fagbemi's, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, granted financial autonomy to the 774 local government areas LGA recognized by the 1999 Constitution and outlawed the penchant of state governors to institute caretaker committees or dissolve democratically elected structures in the councils. According to a report, probes reveal that uncertainty now permeates the scenario in no fewer than 19 states of the Federation, which are presently running one caretaker system or the other, a development that meant that they have run foul of the ruling of the Apex Court, which has empowered the federal government to withhold allocations to councils without democratically elected administrations. The Supreme Court had, in a unanimous ruling of its 7-man panel, whose lead judgment was read by Justice Emmanuel Agim, held that it was unconstitutional for state governments to tamper with the allocations due to the local governments, while also outlawing the operation of the caretaker system in the councils, among other declarations. The judgment ordered the Federation account to henceforth pay all monies, including shares from taxes and other sources intended to the councils, directly to the account. The court banned governors from dissolving democratically elected officials of local government, while also declaring that it is unconstitutional for governors to tamper with council funds. The court said that the 774 local government councils should be permitted to manage their funds. Aside from that, the court also stopped the operation of caretaker officials in the councils. The Federation account was empowered to withhold funds meant for councils that operate the caretaker system. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice had, while commenting on the judgment of the Apex Court, declared that the ruling takes immediate effect, a sign that councils that fail to comply will start having their funds confiscated from the next meeting of the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee (FAC) this month. Investigations reveal that the 437 local government areas hammer is set to fall on are in the following states: Rivers 23, Jigawa 27, Anambra 21, Zamfara, Benue, Bauchi, Plateau, Abia, Katsina, Enugu, Cross Rivers, Sokoto, Kano, Yobe, Ondo, Osun, Akwa Ibom, Imo, and Kwara. Delta State, which held elections for its 25 local governments on Saturday, might be able to escape the hammer if the democratic structure is put in place before the next FACS meeting. Further probe revealed that even as the governors get ready for a meeting to fully dissect the implications of the July 11th judgment of the Apex Court, some government houses are already contemplating likely ways out of possible financial squeeze. And finally, on the news, Dangote leases refinery shares in March, petrol supply in August. Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the president and chief executive officer of Dangote Industries Limited, has revealed that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery will be listed on the Nigerian exchange before the end of March 2025. This came as the refinery again postponed the date of full supply of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, till August, another shift from July. Dangote revealed that the refinery was set to roll out its petrol in August 2024, having resolved its crude oil supply issues through the assistance of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) and the federal government. He stated this on Sunday when he took journalists on a tour of the refinery and Dangote fertilizer plant in Ibeji, Lekki, Lagos, noting that the issue the refinery was having with international oil companies regarding the supply of crude was resolved last week. Dangote also revealed that the federal government owned only a 7.2% stake in the Dangote refinery against the 20% that was publicized. Recently, the Vice President of Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited, Devukamuru Edwin, had last week accused international oil companies in the country of plotting to frustrate the survival of the new Dangote refinery. Edwin said the IOCs were intentionally frustrating the refinery's efforts to buy local crude by increasing the cost above the market price by $6, thereby forcing the refinery to import crude from percent countries as far as the US, with its attendant high costs. A look at the major stories. Biden, Trump emphasized unity post-rally shooting turmoil. China's Communist Party to set course for troubled economy. 22 killed in Gaza mosque strike, hospital reports. Biden calls for calm after Trump shooting, and police search for mayor accused of espionage for China. And that's all on the news. Thanks for watching. I am Lois Dureki.